Hello, and thank you for watching today's Corn Belt Regional Forecast. I'm Andrew Pritchard, meteorologist with Nutrien Ag Solutions. So, you look at temperature trends over the next 5 and 10 days, we're not able to gather a whole lot in terms of details here, and that's because we've got some storm systems tracking through the air. They're going to give us some wild temperature swings over the next few days, and that kind of washes out some of the details. So, while there's not much detail to be gathered from the temperature trends, the same is not true when we look at precipitation over the next 10 days. Focusing first on the first 5 days, we're watching a storm system track through right now that's going to bring some rain to parts of the eastern Corn Belt as well as northern portions of the Great Lakes as we head through just the next 24 to 36 hours. Now, as we look at the next 10 days, though, as we get towards the back half of the week and into earlier next week, we're going to watch for a larger storm system to develop somewhere here across the central plains, tracking north-northwest or north-northeastward across the upper Midwest, and again dragging a front through the area that's going to be dealing with plenty of moisture, bringing another round of showers and storms to at least the eastern half of the Corn Belt. Now, it's been a quiet last 24 hours. Again, we watched that frontal boundary that moved through on Friday and Saturday, bringing the dramatically cooler air mass to the region stall out across parts of the southeast into the deep south, bringing showers and storms in that area over the last 24 to 36 hours, and then just some light precipitation across parts of the northern plains as well. As we look at the satellite picture here on Tuesday morning, we can see the system that's moving slowly through the northern plains right now. You can see that counterclockwise flow here, dragging a cold front through the area, kind of extending across this region. Again, no precipitation really taking off across that region right now, except for maybe some showers across parts of western and central Wisconsin. Again, the cold front kind of approximately right here. As we do head into the mid to late afternoon hours, we'll start to see that cold front light up across this region, with heavier precipitation taking off across Indiana, Ohio, and Kentucky into the overnight. Now, it's a quiet system without quite the drama that Friday and Saturday's storm system brought, with blizzard warning and winter storm warnings across the northern plains and that expansive area of freeze warnings. Just some frost advisories across parts of Michigan, Indiana, and Ohio as we head into the next 24 to 48 hours with some cooler air moving into the region. So there is some of that cooler air sitting over that area right now as we look at the temperatures at 6 o'clock this morning, and we can kind of draw in our storm system. Again, that area of low pressure across the northern plains, a cold front extending southwestward from there, and then a warm front moving through parts of the eastern Corn Belt this morning. Again, warm air advection in advance of the storm system, bringing in that brief warmer air. Colder air coming in on the backside, though not quite as dramatically, again, as it did on Friday. So again, we will see a reinforcing shot of some cooler air. You see that cold front kind of moving through now. The northwesterly flow on the backside bringing in some cooler air, especially to this region. Again, without the drama that we saw on Friday, but certainly going to be a bit cooler, and that brings back the chance for some frost across parts of the central Corn Belt. We'll take a look quickly at the low temperatures for the next couple of nights just to kind of peg the coldest temperatures as we look at the temperatures as we wake up this morning. Again, dealing with some frost perhaps across parts of the Great Lakes and below freezing temperatures across the upper Midwest into the Dakotas. As we go into tonight and Wednesday morning, perhaps watching for below freezing temperatures in this region here across the Dakotas into parts of Kansas, primarily the central plains into the upper Midwest. As we look at Wednesday night into Thursday morning, then watching for the best chance for below freezing temperatures to be across the northern plains into the upper Midwest, parts of the Dakotas, Minnesota, Wisconsin, and maybe northern Iowa. As we move into, this would be Thursday night into Friday morning now, we're starting to see warm air advection in advance of our next approaching storm system, and that is moving above freezing temperatures back into the entire Corn Belt, leading to several days of extended runs with overnight lows above freezing, and that is going to do some good work on melting that snowpack across the upper Midwest. Taking a look at the precipitation forecast with this one as well, we're going to watch this area of low pressure currently across the northern plains begin to dive southeastward across the Corn Belt before eventually moving into the northeast as a much stronger nor'easter. But again, we'll watch this slowly move southeastward, watching precipitation really take off as we head into the later part of the day into the overnight. Let's go ahead and bring this back to Tuesday morning, taking this through to midday Tuesday now, starting to see some of those showers begin to develop into the afternoon today along that front across parts of southeastern Missouri into the eastern half of Illinois, Indiana, and Michigan. Cold air on the backside here, perhaps seeing some snowflakes across the upper Midwest, parts of Minnesota and Wisconsin as we head through the day today, but not looking at any accumulating snow, just perhaps a very cold rain with some snowflakes mixing in that area. As we head into Tuesday night, watching that front continue to move off, showers and storms along it across parts of Kentucky, Tennessee, into Indiana and Ohio. That cold rain continuing across parts of the Great Lakes here, Wisconsin and Michigan, into the morning hours on Wednesday. But by the time we get to Wednesday afternoon, this front's moving out of here. Perhaps some cold rain showers on the backside for parts of Ohio, but otherwise high pressure moving in here across the central parts of the United States, and that's going to mean several days of quieter weather and eventually a warming trend across the Corn Belt. So as we look at total precipitation here, again, highest across the eastern Corn Belt, Indiana, Ohio, and Kentucky, and then northern portions of the Great Lakes here, northern Wisconsin, the UP of Michigan, and then parts of Michigan State getting some of the precipitation here. But again, a dry look as you go west of this line across a big chunk of the Corn Belt, and that's going to continue into the weekend. The reason for that, again, the storm system moving through, it is rather moisture starved. As we look at precipitable water here, we're looking at the moisture content within the atmosphere, and you're seeing the higher values along and south of this line. Again, certainly in the Gulf Coast here, where we've got that front stalled across the region. Again, that's why we have the drier air mass. This front pushed through Friday and Saturday, bringing in much colder air. It's also drier air mass coming from northern Canada here. So again, the moisture from that front over the weekend really pushed south across parts of the Gulf Coast. So as I kind of play this out, watching this first storm system track through the area, not seeing it really draw a lot of deep moisture into the Corn Belt. Certainly not until we get into the overnight now and then getting into Wednesday as this thing's beginning to move off to the east. But again, a reinforcing shot of some drier air even coming in on the backside. So it's a quiet next few days with a drier air mass here with high pressure situated over the central U.S., continuing to play this out into the end of the week. Now we're getting into Friday and Saturday. You're seeing that first tongue of moisture come northward, perhaps some showers in the central and eastern Corn Belt Saturday and Sunday before we watch a big plume of moisture now being drawn northward in advance of the early week storm system here, somewhere between that Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday time frame, with a big front again sweeping through the region, bringing a chance of some more significant precipitation to this region again, because this system will be able to tap into much deeper moisture. So we'll take a look at the precipitation type forecast over the next week or so with the GFS model. Again, watching this first system quickly track through the region, become a much bigger problem for the Northeast here as we head into the day on Thursday, a nor'easter across the region, perhaps bringing some high winds and some heavy precipitation to that region. But high pressure across the Corn Belt. It's a quiet end to the week and a quiet start to the weekend. But as we get into Saturday now, watching this first lobe or this first wave kind of track through the region, perhaps on Saturday and Sunday, seeing some showers, maybe a thunderstorm across this region here, Iowa, Missouri, Illinois, and Indiana. This is just kind of a quick moving wave in advance of the much larger storm system that begins to deepen here on Monday and Tuesday. Here we're seeing it right now. The forecast models have this area of low pressure kind of developing here around Nebraska and Iowa, lifting northeast or into the Great Lakes as we head into Monday and Tuesday. Now, I want to let you know this is a big change from what we saw over the last several days. We're seeing a slow northward trend with the center of low pressure. As we look at the GFS model this morning with the area of low pressure across the state of Iowa on Monday, the European model, the most recent run overnight, has the area of low pressure in northern Minnesota. So we've got the difference here, the GFS currently in Iowa, the European model in northern Minnesota. And if we looked at this yesterday, it was more like Kansas and Missouri tracking through parts of Illinois and Michigan. So big differences here, and the biggest impact right now, we're kind of just talking about this storm system as a big picture idea. We've got plenty of time before we get to Monday. We've got another 6 days, plenty of updates from Eric and myself. But I would say the biggest change, if this thing continues to lift northward, is maybe not quite so intense on the heavy rain threat across this general region here. Certainly still looking at a good dose of rain, some showers and storms moving through, but it perhaps lessens the heavy rain and flooding impact if this thing continues to lift northward, just dragging a quick moving front through the area rather than seeing an extended period of showers and storms across that region. So those are the changes we're monitoring. There's a consistent signal within our models that we will see this big storm system. It does very much look like it will exist. But where the area of low pressure is between, northern Minnesota and parts of Kansas, that's still to be determined, and then we'll be able to get a better understanding for the impacts in a local sense here for what you can expect in your backyard. Now, the other thing I'm noticing here, I developed this thunderstorm index. We've been running it here at Nutrien, and I am seeing the early signs that maybe this could be a more classic fall or classic spring storm system where we have a higher severe weather chance along the cold front. We didn't see that with the cold front on Friday and Saturday. They moved through the area, but it does look like this may have the ingredients here, the right look to produce some strong storms as we see this system move through. When is that? Perhaps Sunday, as early as Sunday across parts of the Central Plains here, seeing a good signal here across parts of Nebraska, Iowa, Kansas, and Missouri. And then as this thing continues to lift off to the northeast, perhaps continuing to see a severe storm risk along the cold front as it lifts through parts of the Midwest, parts of the eastern Corn Belt now, perhaps Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, and then parts of the Mid-South, talking about a severe weather risk as we get into Monday and perhaps Tuesday. So again, the timing has a big impact on here. The track has a big impact here, but certainly looking like a big storm system here that could bring the chance for some showers and storms and perhaps some severe weather to parts of the central United States into the Midwest. Total precipitation, now again, we can kind of track our two storm systems. We see the first one move through here Tuesday and Wednesday, bringing precipitation to primarily the eastern Corn Belt and the northern Great Lakes, kind of along and east of this area. And then a quiet few days as we end the week and get into the weekend, seeing the first chances for precipitation sneak through the Corn Belt here on Saturday and Sunday, but then really watching that precipitation take off from the bigger storm system as we get into early next week. And again, seeing a strong signal for some more widespread, perhaps locally heavy precipitation, generally along and west of that line. A pretty good cutoff, dry across the Dakotas and the Central Plains. But as you start heading into Minnesota, Iowa, Missouri, eastward into the rest of the central and eastern Corn Belt, certainly seeing that strong signal for some showers and storms, perhaps some severe weather accompanying that, and then a dramatic temperature roller coaster ride to go along with it as well as we warm up into the end of the week. But of course, cold air coming in on the backside, likely looking at a cool down next week. Your high temperatures for the next few days then: Tuesday, anywhere from the upper 30s in the Dakotas to near 70 degrees across the south. Looking at your Wednesday highs, cooler across this region on the backside of that front, so a cool day across the central and eastern Corn Belt. High temperatures only in the 50s across Iowa, Missouri, into Illinois and Indiana and Ohio here, and it's going to be a blustery 50s too, with wind gusts likely above 30 miles per hour on the backside of that front across the central and eastern Corn Belt. High temperatures on Thursday, we start to rebound, the 70s in the west, 50s still in the east, and then we head into Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Temperatures generally in the 60s and 70s. A look at your overnight lows. We already kind of talked about where the frost risk is going to be highest as we head into the overnight lows tonight, or the overnight tonight into tomorrow morning, watching for temperatures below freezing across the central and northern plains. On Wednesday night into Thursday morning, overnight low temperatures below freezing across the upper Midwest and parts of the Dakotas. Staying above freezing then as we head into Thursday night and Friday morning. Here would be Friday night and Saturday night, and then Sunday night. As always, Eric Snodgrass will have our long-range U.S. weather analysis on Wednesday morning. We'll have our next ag forecast update with an in-depth look at the next 1 to 2 weeks and our Thursday morning ag forecast video, and I'll be back to check in with the Corn Belt specifically on Friday morning. Have a great day.